Alright, give me just 1 second to finish getting started. Alright, y'all, so goal with this little series of videos, or at least this initial stream, is to kind of go over the patch changes and explain them a little bit, because as you read them, I suspect that they weren't written by someone who specializes in fighting games, so the translation is a little bit unclear at times, at least for me. So it took me a little bit of parsing to kind of understand what the hell was going on, so I'll just get started. So the first change is to dashing. It said change to make dashing immediately easier after an attack performed after a dash. So I think what that means is, yeah, I'm not sure how to show how this is different. So dashing immediately easier after an attack performed after a dash. Like, that sentence is worded wrongly, I think. But yeah, I don't seem to have any problems with that. The next change is to guarding. So increase the grid gauge gained when guarding against a special move with many cancel routes. I'm pretty sure they're talking about Rekkas. So this is a Rekka. So it's a regular special move, but then you can press more buttons to continue it. So let's look at the grid gauge at the bottom and see if there's any difference. I'm not really noticing one, to be honest. Well, it looks like the second player is gaining it a little bit faster. So yeah. I'm guessing in the previous game, in ST, you wouldn't build extra grid as you keep blocking Rekka follow-ups. The next change is to throws. Fixed an issue where the damage dealt decreased tremendously after grabbing a throw-invulnerable opponent in a specific condition. That sounds like they just fixed a bug there. Recovery. Standardize the amount of time where the characters are unable to walk or crouch after landing. So I suppose there was some character-specific differences in the amount of time it takes to start walking after you land. So now that's standardized, which is a good thing. Another change to the recovery is fixed an issue where the character performing a ground recovery is put into a standing state internally for a moment. So I'm not sure how to reflect that, but that's a change since launch of UNICLR. So I guess there was a bug there. I'm not sure if we would even have noticed that, because it says it's an internal standing state. So maybe you could get hit by meaty lows or something. It doesn't matter at this point though. Standing A, or 5A, removed a previous change which changed the property of low standing A moves to which against jump, assault, and normal jump attacks. Before I even talk about that one, I'll just go straight into the next one, which is for 2A, or crouching A. Changed all low crouching A moves to whiff against jump, assault, and normal jump attacks. So essentially, it seems that all aerial moves now have low crush against 2As. So I guess before, there were certain 2A lows that had a high enough hurt box to serve as anti-airs to some extent, what they weren't really intended to be, because you know, the startup time is really low for these moves, whereas an anti-air might be intended to have longer startup. So yeah, that's pretty much the change. And the previous change was for 5As that hit low, which this one is not one of them. I don't know any characters off the top of my head that have low 5As, but apparently they also had this property on them. But that was changed in this patch that just came out a few days ago. So additional follow-up moves, or I think this is referencing Rekka's again, changed the grounded normal moves and the grounded command normals to not change the direction the character faces when performed. So this is actually not Rekka's that it's talking about. Let's see here. Yeah, it's special moves. So let me pick a character with an obvious example of that sort of thing. Enkidu. So when they're talking about additional follow-up moves, they mean things like this. So you press 5B, normally you just do 5B, the same for C, or 5C, but you can just keep pressing the button to do additional follow-up moves. So in Unist, the previous game, you did this, and for whatever reason, you would start moving behind your opponent, then what would end up happening is you would just change directions and still like track them automatically, which is kind of mean. So I guess they changed that. Let's see. Close proximity recognition fixed an issue where the close proximity distance was measured differently for 1P and 2P. That just seems like a bad bug that they fixed from ST. Full invulnerability move. Adjusted all invulnerability moves, or, you know, just reversals. Okay, I'm not actually sure that one's a reversal, so let me pick a character that I do know a little bit better. So this would be a full invulnerability move. 2-2B with Akatsuki. Adjusted all fully invulnerable moves to be in the counter hit state for the full duration of the move. So I suppose that means that in ST, that attacking a character that did one of these sorts of moves, at a certain point, it stopped creating the counter hit state. The counter hit state is essentially if you land an attack. I'll just show this here. So if you land an attack, if you look at that bar underneath the one hit, you can see how much hit stun Lundrakia is. Lundrakia is in when I land the 5B. Now I'll turn on forced counter hits. You'll see that it says counter, and that bar, that hit stun bar, is a lot wider. So I have more, I think I have better proration. So that's 930 damage total, whereas here, still 930 damage, so I'm not sure about the proration then. Never mind that. But you do get more hit stun, so you can do bigger combos. Of course, it would take a longer combo to kind of better illustrate that, but that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, and then high counter, I'm not sure of the mechanic for high counters. That, I think, is in the tutorial. Just a little bit rusty on this game. I don't play it much anymore. So, let's see. Continuing on with the changes. Head invulnerability / dive invulnerability. That is talking about anti-airs. So certain characters have moves with anti-air properties. So for Akatsuki, that would be this one, is a 6C, and also his 5C. Both serve as anti-airs. And if you go into the mission mode of the game, I'll actually just show it really quick because the menus are pretty fast. You go into mission mode here, and you pick whatever character. I'll just pick as Akatsuki. Go all the way down to Tactics Challenge here, and for every character it'll tell you what their anti-airs are, just give you a brief overview of what tools you should be using in certain situations. So here it says if the opponent is attacking from the air, use anti-air 5C or 6C, and jump cancel 5C into jump A, and if 6C counter hits, you can connect into a combo with 2C. So yeah, when you counter hit, you get more hit stun than you normally would. So let's see. So yeah, you get the point. So essentially what they did there, adjusted the frame of head invulnerability and dive in front invulnerability. Dive meaning like a dive kick of each anti-air moves, making it easier for them to beat out air moves. So essentially they just buffed anti-air. So those moves that I was doing, they have more invulnerability when it comes to aerial moves. Let me just go back to the training situation. Let's see. Oh, the next change is adjusted the hurt box during the startup of head invulnerable or anti-air moves, making it easier for the move to beat out air moves. So I guess sometimes there would be anti-airs that would trade because the opponent's aerial hurt box or hit box was just so wide that you got hit anyway, even though you properly spaced and timed your anti-air. So moves that vacuum the opponent. Let me switch to a character that has one of those that I know of. Let's see here. Go with Phonon. Let's say it's her 560. Yeah. It's one of these moves. Alright, there you go. So 4B. Phonon's 4B. As you can see, it kind of pulls forward, although Drakia has a similar move. So the change here is change the process of vacuuming the opponent on hit such that there is no difference between the 1P and 2P side. That was a change made since launch of UNICLR, so I guess there were some differences in maybe the amount of vacuuming that happens on hit, but that's a good change. Smart steer. Change the smart steer sequence of some of the characters. So basically, this auto combo that you get from just mashing A, I imagine they changed it to reflect some of the new moves that some of the characters got, but not all of them. So increase. Fixed an issue where the process of increase is done twice when a button is held for a short time. So I just did an increase there. You get it from holding the button. So when you see that white flash, that means you held it long enough to do an increase. I suppose that change means that it would do it twice. I don't understand that change. I'm guessing there was some sort of bug that I just never noticed. So this next change is, I think, one of the sneaky ones, and that's one of the big problems that I have with these patch notes, is that they made these little changes that they seem a little bit bigger than the small amount of text implies. So they switch that again and set the dummy to block everything. So all guard, and I'll set the recording to just go into veil off and block. Of course, I gotta give him meter first. Alright. Whoops. What to record. Start recording. I'll just have him block low for a while. So the change here is made a change during the veil off state where successfully shielding a move would increase much more grid to the player and removes much more grid from the opponent. So I actually need to just put him in veil off and then set it to shield everything. So I guess on the first hit is when I'll set it to start shielding. Alright, so oh crap. So now I'll turn off the recording. It's just in veil off, and we can just observe the grid. Yeah, this is a little bit difficult to set up here, so let's see. I want the dummy to... I guess I can just make him jump and do a smart steer. Hold on. Alright, so there is the dummy. I'll have it repeat in intervals. And I have my own meter set up, so I'll go to veil off. So you can see I'm building just a ton of grid. Like I'm building ridiculous amounts of grid. So this is the first time I'm actually testing that since reading these patch notes. And when I first read them, I thought, wow, this is going to change neutral by a lot. Because essentially it changes the value proposition of going into veil off. As you could see at the bottom of the screen, there was just a ton of grid meter buildup from just shielding those attacks while I had veil off. So now some of the applications for going into veil off are using it as a reversal when you get knocked down, just because it has full invulnerability. Let's see, reversal action. Can I pick veil off here? Okay, veil off. Alright, just set it to not block. I'm gonna do that. So there's that. I have to essentially not, do anything on their wake up. So when you do a reversal veil off, you have full invulnerability. So if I try to do any sort of meaty anything or Oki on you, then I'll just get hit. And in case you didn't notice, you just look at my side of the grid meter here. I get grid broken for my trouble. So that's the first application. The next one is you just kind of do it in a combo. Let's see. You need to have Vorpal to do it in a combo. So let me turn that on here. Gauge, player advantage. Oh no, I want the player to have Vorpal. Alright. I'll do a crosscast veil off. The other thing is when you land a veil off and it hits, as you can see, I lost Vorpal when I got hit. So that's another thing, it steals Vorpal. And yeah, now you have this other property where when you're in veil off state, you just get this ridiculous grid boost when you're shielding. So that just like it's another thing to think about when you're thinking of when to use what tools the game gives you. So it just makes the game more engaging and fun. I think I really like that change. So the next change is to concentration. Fixed an issue with the animation not displayed correctly. I mean, I guess it looks a lot more prominent than it used to. If you look at that blue aura, I remember it being a lot more subtle in ST, and now you just see this big old blue aura around him. Change to not carry the properties of the last move's hit information, making it impossible to cancel concentration into crosscast veil off. So that's interesting. I guess that was a thing you could do before. Fixed an issue where the red effect from a counter would not be displayed when grabbing an opponent in the concentration state. So let's see here. Let's see what they're talking about. Let me set this to chord. I'll set the playback to repeat. And I'll just do this. Ah, okay, so there's a red effect. Alright. I can't tech it. So that red effect is to show that if I'm concentrating to build my grid and I get grabbed, it's an untechable grab. Let's see. Change the process of grid increase during concentration such that there is no difference between 1P and 2P side. So that's interesting. Alright. Set that there. Oh, I have the player side set to having Vorpal. Reset this back to default. I guess both sides are building up at about the same rate. That's interesting. And that's a change since launch, so I guess there was a bug if anyone noticed that. The next change is to Assault. Fixed an issue in the training mode where holding the D button would cause ground assault to not be performed when set as the reversal option. That's just a weird bug. Let me turn this off here. Fixed an issue where the proration is mitigated when a certain move is performed instantly out of an assault. Let me turn off that reversal. So let's see. That's interesting. Let's see, so I'll do this into, whoa. Alright, 1459. 1428, but I did the same moves. That's interesting. Let me try that again. So 1450. 1436. I'm not sure why the damage is changing. What's this? What did it say? Fix an issue where the proration is mitigated when a certain move is performed instantly out of an assault. I'm not too sure what to make of that. But I am getting different damage values. Let's see, that's 682. Yeah, it's doing the same amount of damage. So 784. Try to do it late. Hold on. There's a 715 near the bottom. This is always what? Oh, I'm not in Vorpal. That's the problem. I'm going in and out of Vorpal. Just wasn't noticing it. I just play your Vorpal. Alright, 715. Top here. Alright. Yeah, that's the same damage. When a jump normal move is performed during an assault, all characters will no longer be able to perform a second move until they land. So that only applies to grounded assaults. But I think in the previous game you could still do special cancel out of that, so that's interesting. Adjusted the startup motion of the assault, making it easier to differentiate from damage. Yeah, it definitely does look a little bit different from before, but I would have to go into the PC version to compare the animation. I guess because the animation is literally just the dash animation, but like aimed differently, so it's just a little bit easier to parse. Like there's the dust. I don't know. You can see the difference there. Fixed an issue where players are unable to perform the same move during a combo after performing it during assault. So that was a bug apparently in the launch version of UNICLR. Let's see, in chain shift, fixed an issue where multi-button press is registered during the instant chain shift is activated and the moment right after the chain shift ends. I suppose there was some sort of bug with that. I never really noticed it, or had any issues with that in ST. And this one is interesting because it kind of illustrates a little bit of a new mechanic that they added in UNICLR. Added a red effect and reduced the grid of the opponent when they're in mid-motion of a normal attack, special attack, assault, or throw when you activate chain shift. So let me try to illustrate this here. So opponent Vorpal. I'll set the reversal action to be chain shift. And so I'll do this. What the hell? Oh, I gotta reset so they actually get Vorpal. Huh, that is really strange. I didn't see any effect there. Can you activate chain shift? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so there it is. You can see that red aura there. That's really weird. It's not showing up in situations where I'd expect it to. I guess if you're in your active frames when the opponent activates chain shift, then that's when that happens. So yeah, reduce the grid gauge of the opponent when... Oh, reduce the grid gauge. Okay, I see now. I guess what I want to do is build some grid first. So I want the opponent to... Man, this is going to be a little bit iffy to show off. Grid gauge, player Vorpal, no. Opponent, oh, okay, I can change the meter here. I can just give them 6. I'll also have 6. And we can start. Let's start this here. Opponent Vorpal. So I guess I want to start them with Vorpal and then set it back to default. We gain some grid real quick here. And this is tough. Because if I set it to opponent Vorpal, then I won't have any grid to actually show off. So let's see here. What can I do? I'll set the TS gauge to be almost done. And leave it at default. But yeah, see, I lost a little bit of grid there. So I'm going to do a jab and then a follow-up, and it'll time it. Just look at the grid meter on my side. Yeah, so there's that red aura, and I lost a block. That is interesting. So now there's an extra risk-reward factor to doing Oki on an opponent that has Vorpal. So if they have Vorpal and they chain shift, and I'm in the middle of some sort of meaty attack, then I risk losing a block of grid. So that's good to know. So that means that when the grid meter is almost, when the TS gauge rather is, I guess, past 9 o'clock or so, essentially what'll happen is it becomes risky. Like I risk losing ground in the grid war if I decide to press an advantage, because they can just chain shift and steal Vorpal for the next round. So again, that's another one of those sneaky little changes that really kind of changes the way that you think about playing the game, which is really fun. Kind of doubles down on what I really like about Under Night that sets it apart from other fighting games. So let's see. The next change is to shielding. When the follow-up move of the jump attack is shielded, it can no longer be cancelled into anything, and additional landing recovery is added. So, illustrate that, I'll use hide again. And I'll set the dummy to block everything. And shield on the first hit. And I'll turn off reversals. That's weird. I guess that counts as a grounded hit, so that's really strange. I thought that you wouldn't be able to do this. Shield. When the follow-up move of the jump attack is shielded, it can no longer be cancelled into anything. An additional landing recovery is added. I don't know, I seem to not have any problems doing that. So that is... I don't understand what that applies to then. If anyone knows, please let me know. Let's see. Fixed an issue where... Oh, guard shield. Fixed an issue where only the Exis gauge is depleted and the guard shield is not activated when inputting guard shield at the moment guard recovery ends. Okay, I guess that was a weird bug. I think that's something with inputting the guard shield at the last frame. We would lose meter, but you wouldn't get anything. Increase the distance the opponent will be pushed back on a successful guard shield. So it's pretty interesting because I'm getting pushed back here. But either way, you're still making a good amount of distance. So that buffs defense essentially. Changed guard thrust to only accept inputs done during block stun to activate. It will only activate when back or 4 is input when the B button is pressed. So start the dummy to do the smart steer combo. Oops, didn't mean to stop the recording. Set this to play back. Let's see if I can... Yeah, because guard thrust is quarter circle back plus D while you're in block stun. So I'm gonna try to do it like a special move. So yeah, you have to hold back while you do it. Wait, let me try that again. Yeah, you can see there, I didn't input D while I was pressing back, so it didn't do it. I have to actually be holding D to get it. So that's that just makes it a more intentional thing, so you can't accidentally do that while you're trying to input an option select or buffer something or text something. Let's see. Excess attacks. Fixed an issue where certain EX special moves and lock moves behaving in an unexpected manner. Oh, that's a weird sentence. Fixed an issue where certain EX special and lock moves behaved in an unexpected manner after they trade with another move. And that's since launch, so I guess there was a bug with trading certain attacks like Byakuya's traps. So let's see. Let me turn off. Alright, I already turned off the dummy. Next is remove the system in the game where there is a limit in gauge increase after performing specific EX special moves, projectiles, setup, and lock moves. So essentially there was a nerf to the amount of meter gain that you would get from a combo that had any of those moves starting the combo. So stuff like Byakuya's webs or just projectiles. Let's see. Removed, and that's also since launch of UNICLR. Removed a system in the game where there's a limit in gauge increase when a setup move that is performed before a combo ends hits the opponent after the recovery. So again, that's just different little nerfs that they had. They just reversed. Standardize the first half hit of all fully invulnerable EX special moves to not be ground recoverable. So for that one, I want to pick Akatsuki again. And let's see, so this the CPU is already set to recover. Let's see. Turn off guard. You can see he covers immediately. Hits the ground, etc. So if I do this move, you recover as soon as they hit the ground. If I do 2-2-B, they recover in the air. So that's not necessarily a good example of this change. Let me try hide. Huh. What is the change? Because I'm misunderstanding this change then. Oh, it's EX special moves. Okay. To not be ground recoverable. So. What? Yeah, I'm not getting this change then, because I thought I understood it. Just like, what do I know that has full invulnerability here? Ogner? Here, it's an aerial recovery. Huh. First half hit of all fully invulnerable EX moves. Let me change it so that the dummy jumps. Yeah, I'm not sure how to parse that particular change. So yeah, if you know what that change means, let me know, because I'm not sure what to make of that. What I thought it meant was that there was a difference in the amount of time it would take to recover depending on when in the active frames an EX reversal hits, but I'm not seeing that change here. So Infinite Worth Exe. Fix an issue where the Infinite Worth Exe is hit at the same time as a projectile move at the end of a high proration combo. It will not proceed into the full animation of the Infinite Worth Exe. So I guess that was a bug with certain characters. I can't say I ever saw that with Akatsuki. Vorpal adjusted the visual effects. That one is really obvious. Like you can see the aura is coming off of Landrakia there. Definitely a lot more pronounced than ST. Just to kind of make that easier to visually parse. Excess Limit. A new system, Excess Limit, is applied to the opponent when a cross-cast Veil-Off hits, or when the opponent is covered in the red effect during chain shift activation, which is caused by doing certain moves during the activation. During Excess Limit, the character will receive less excess gauge while getting hit by a combo. So, let me set this to player Vorpal. So actually, let me set this to player Vorpal and then set it back to default. Crap. I want to actually set it to default and give the player a little bit more. That's interesting. So, yeah, you can see, well, there is a red effect there, but it's more on the character than the opponent. So let's see. I'll do, let me set the opponent's meter to 0. So just look at the amount of meter this quick combo builds for the opponent. It's 4.6. Now if I do a cross-cast Veil Off, hold on. It's 2.92. So again, see, that's 2.2. Wait a minute. Oh, right. I want to start this after the Vorpal to normalize the damage. So, first 2 hits do 2.34. Then it goes to 4.60. But if I do the crosscast Veil Off, it goes from 2.34 to 2.92. So that is an incredibly drastic reduction in the amount of meter gain on the opponent's side as they're getting hit by a combo that continues past a crosscast Veil Off. So that's another thing to keep in mind about how you choose to spend your meter and use your Vorpal. So let's see. And yeah, doing a crosscast Veil Off, I believe, does exhaust your Vorpal state, since you have to be in there to activate it. Yeah, so as soon as you run out of Veil Off, you lose Vorpal. Let's see. Adjusted the excess gauge gained to be proportional to the damage proration. Essentially, that means that as your combo continues, you're dealing less damage with each attack, and you're also gaining less meter with each attack. So that's something to keep in mind. So I start with 100 here, I do a 5C, I'm at 108.24. Let's see. 108.24, so let's just call it 8. And we're at 107. 107 to 114. That's definitely less than 8, so the meter gain is scaling with the damage there a little bit at least. Although after a 3-hit combo, there's not like a ton of proration there anyway, but you can see the difference. Damage proration. Removed a system where damage proration is applied when the opponent is hit by an instant overhead attack, such as jump attacks that are performed at the start of a jump, like this, or jump attacks that hit while the opponent is in standing guard recovery. So essentially, this is talking about fuzzy attacks. And this was a change since the launch of UNICLR. So there was a damage nerf done to fuzzy attacks, and they just rolled back that nerf. If you want to know more about fuzzy attacks, just look into the tutorials in the game, and I also have a video explaining this stuff. But yeah, this used to be nerf essentially, but they undid that nerf. Spinning blowback. Remove the process of changing the direction faced during spinning blowback. Let's see, how can I show this? Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know which moves will cause that blowback state, but maybe Akatsuki's 214C, it's EX Tatsu. Well, that's not a spinning blowback, but yeah, I guess there were certain conditions where you would change direction during that, but I don't know how to reflect that change off the top of my head. Let's see, changing of facing direction. Adjusted the change of direction based when being overlapped in the corner. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. Yeah, I'm not noticing any changes there. That seems to look the same as in ST. Adjusted the coordinate position when being overlapped in the corner. Oh, these are also changes since launch, so yeah, I never would have been able to see what was happening there. Maybe that was something that they had inadvertently changed since ST and rolled back or something. Hit effect. Adjusted the displaying of certain hit effects. I guess these are more prominent. I can't tell. It's been so long since I played ST. And the final system change is RIP calculation. Adjusted the way RIP is calculated to reduce the amount of RIP deducted during a loss based on the opponent's highest RIP among all characters. That sounds like a pretty self-explanatory change. You get really good and really high ranked, or a lot of points with one character in ranked matches, and then you pick up another character and you're beating other low point opponents because you know a lot more about the game in general than they do, then the game will take that into account when deciding how much to penalize the other player. So it'll be as if you had played them with your best character in terms of how much points they lose. So I think that's a solid change. Just make the impact of, I don't know, inadvertent smurfs not be quite so strong. So that's it for the system changes made both since ST and in UNICLR since launch, because they rolled up both the changes since the last game and in like the bug fix section of their changes into this one big patch. So in this one big set of patch notes rather. So yeah, that's it for the system changes. Next up, I think I will do Akatsuki, just because that was a character I used to main, and I can hopefully go into a little bit of depth with him. So, before I continue, let me just switch where I'm looking at this PDF from, instead of looking at it from the phone. So let's see here. Need 1 minute. Because I was looking at it on my phone, and now I'm trying to bring it up on a tablet just to make it easier to read rather than having to squint to see this tiny text. Of course, I have a really old tablet, so it's taking a little while to load, but I have it brought up now. Let me scroll all the way down to the last page where they put this guest character. Alright, I can almost fit the entire thing on one screen, which is nice. Alright, so the first change is increase the maximum vital vessel. That is an HP bonus, health meter. So Akatsuki just, you know, he'll last a little bit longer before he dies, which is pretty cool. A bunch of characters got changes like that. I think Hyde also got a change like that. So close attack proximity. Fixed an issue where the close proximity distance was measured differently for 1P and 2P. So yeah, that's really weird. So close proximity is when you're doing certain moves, they'll come out with different moves depending on how far you are from the opponent. So you have far 5B and far 5C, then you also have close 5B and close 5C. And when you're up close, you can just chain one into the other. Well, not always. Just for 5B you can do that, but not 5C. So yeah, it's really weird that 1P and 2P had different distances for activating the close proximity here. For jump, change the jump to be more easily affected by dash momentum. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. Not much to add to that. Dash, reduce the recovery of the dashed when stopped. I'm not sure what to make of that. I mean, you could already block while you're dashing, so well, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not noticing much there. Oh, let me change. I gotta go into my settings with this tablet really quickly. Here. Alright, display. Brightness off. Auto lock. Never. Alright. So, chain shift adjusted the motion of the move, and that's a change since UNICLR. So, if you just look at his animation, you'll see extra frames of animation that they added to make it look more like a motion rather than just a single frame thing, like an ST or I guess pre-patch. Far standing seat expanded the upper part of the hitbox, so that makes it a more effective anti-air. And fixed an issue where you will go through the opponent when performing this move close to the opponent. Yeah, that's just a bug that they fixed since ST. 5A mitigated the damage proration. So let's see, 5C does 736 normally. Still, now it does 500 here. Yeah, I mean, I guess they reduced the amount of proration on the 5A, so that's a little buff there. Crouching C fixed an issue where you will go through the opponent when performing this move close to the opponent. Again, that's because you move forward a little bit. I guess there's certain little issues that happen when you're right next to the opponent and you're moving forward and they're also moving forward. The game would just kind of correct the position by ghosting you right through them, and you would just whiff and it would be janky looking. Jump A, change to be unable to perform until another change to be unable to perform another move until you land after this move is performed during assault. So you can't just like combo this. I believe in ST you could combo on hit. Jump B, standardize the timing the attacks can connect on a crouching opponent and change the move startup to whiff on a crouching opponent when performed right after an assault. So, to show this, Let's have the opponent crouch. That's weird. He's still getting hit by it. That's funny. Yeah, performed right after an assault. So it's weird because the other change to Jump B is that it expanded the bottom part of the hitbox. So like, it still hits. It doesn't combo. Like if you hit with it immediately, it doesn't combo. But oh wait a minute. Still combos, it's just a difficult link. Yeah, it's still combos. So I'm not sure of that first part of the change because it doesn't seem to, I mean, it still seems to work. Let's see, dash C increased the active frame of the move, so that's just a buff. Yeah, I never used dash C too much in ST, but it does seem a bit more effective. Expanded the front part of the hitbox. Trying to get a read for how far it actually goes. It almost looks like it, like if you look, well, okay, that kind of confirms it, so. Alright, so, there's a little, like, blur on the foot there. Let me see if I can catch it. It's tough. Alright, I think I got it there. Remove menu. So if you look at his foot there, there's a bit of blurring, and it looks like the hitbox doesn't actually extend into that blurring, from what I could tell. It just goes to the foot. But I suppose they moved it. I'm not sure by how much. You have to wait for the PC version to come out and use a mod to get a look at the hitboxes. So let's see here. 5AA, change the move to be throw cancelable. That's interesting. That's really interesting. 'Cause you couldn't do this before. Let me see if I make him block. And maybe not shield. Yeah, that's that's fun. I mean, still a yellow guard, or a yellow throw, so. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Maybe they can catch you sleeping, but you can kind of train yourself to always tech those, so I'm not sure about it. Let's see, Helm Crusher. These Crusher moves, I'm not sure of the name, so let me just double check the command list. Where is it? Alright, Helm Crusher, that is 6B, and then Jaw Crusher is 6C. Tile Crusher is jump 2C. Skull Crusher is jump 6C. Alright, I get it. So Helm Crusher is this. They also fixed the problem with ghosting through the opponent when you're up close. Jaw Crusher expanded the upper part of the hitbox, so it's a better anti-air. Shrunk the hurt box at the startup of the attack. So you look here, he kind of crouches down, and I guess they actually shrunk the hurt box there. So again, it just kind of matches what they were saying that they did with anti-airs across the board in terms of reducing the hurt box and improving the hit box. So that's good. And then they also fixed the ghosting issue for moving through the opponent from up close. Let's see, Tile Crusher, which is this. They expanded the hitbox. So I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, that definitely is a bit of a buff there. Normally you'd have to be a lot closer for that to hit. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. Alright, aerial throw. Mitigated the damage proration and adjusted the motion of the move. So adjusted the motion, we now know, is just how it looks, the animation. So if I make the dummy jump... Oh yeah, they added more frames of animation. Definitely looks a little less janky. It looks like a real thing. A real throw. Alright, that's cool. As for mitigating their damage proration, that's something that you would notice in combos. So yeah, I can't really show the difference because I don't remember what it was in ST. Skull Crusher increase. Right, so they added this move. So you have jump 6C. Jump 6C. Now you have jump increase 6C. Which causes that effect, which is... That's interesting. That gives you some new combo routes, which is very nice. So let's see. Change the move to be increasable, changing the properties of the move. Yeah, that you can go into Discord and kind of see how you can modify your combos there. I haven't really sunk my teeth into it as yet. Let's see. For Reflector, which is his parry, increase the active frame of the counter and change the counter attack to not counter when it comes into contact with an attack that can only hit an opponent in hit stun. I'm not sure which moves it's talking about, but it does apply to all of the different versions of the Reflector, both aerial, crouching, and the Vorpal and non-Vorpal versions of each of them. But the aerial one also has a change where they fix an issue where the landing animation is displayed weirdly. I'm not sure how to... Yeah, I'm not sure how it looked before. Oh, Blitz Shot A. Change the move to float the opponent on ground hit. So it's a little bit easier to combo off of it now. Because before they would just kind of get hit and stagger back very slightly, but now they get popped up even when it's not the B version that hit them. Let's see. Standardize the timing of being able to throw another projectile after the projectile hits. Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to do that before. I wonder if there's anything interesting you can do with that. Yeah, maybe some corner-only stuff. Let's see. Armor Pierce Kick A increase. So yeah, now for Tatsu options or 214 options, you can do A, you can do B, or you can do increased A. It's just his B Tatsu from his original game. Again, you can check Discord, the Akatsuki channel, to see how you can apply this. But another thing is, you can see outside of hit stun how fast it is. You just have this alternate option in neutral as well. So I think it's still unsafe though. So be careful compared to just doing 214A or A Tatsu. Armor Pierce Kick, so the EX Tatsu, increase the distance traveled, increase the active frames to reduce the opening of the move. So they made it faster and also increase the active frames. Increase the recovery so it's less safe. and adjusted the blowback of the final hit on hit, and adjusted the visual effect of the move. So yeah, you can definitely, if you played this character in ST, the difference is pretty obvious. It's much quicker, the range is full screen, and that last hit causes a wall bounce. So, can you actually do a combo of this? Maybe not. But it does a lot of damage, and it might be the preferred combo ender now, because it used to be this. If you wanted to just attack damage onto a combo, you would just do the EX Fireball. But now, let's see. Hold on. So that doesn't work. Interesting. It's 2497 versus. Yeah, so this still does more damage. I'm sure there are better certain situations and certain combos where you want to use it, but yeah, I really thought that might have had more damage than just doing this 2 and 4B into the EX projectile. Let's see, human cannon, so that's 2-2A, 2-2B. For 2-2A, change the timing of the head invulnerability and dive kick invulnerability to be earlier, so again it works as a better anti-air. And for 2-2B, increase the untechable time. It's interesting. Air blitz shot or air fireball, air 236A. Change the landing recovery to be cancelable with EX special moves, or chain shift on hit. So let's see here. Just trying to use this somehow. Huh. Wait a minute. Huh. Well, there's your combo. There's an application of that change. This makes Akatsuki a threat in a way that he wasn't before. Let's see. Kind of want him a little distance away from the corner. Yeah, you can definitely do some stuff. Yeah, so that's something to mess around with. Reduce the height increase after shooting the projectile, reducing the amount of time until Akatsuki lands. Yeah, he definitely used to pop up higher before. Reduce the landing recovery. That's good. Change the move to float the opponent on ground hit. Yep. Standardize the timing of being able to throw another projectile after the projectile hits. So yeah, you can keep up better pressure with this now. Because before, I don't think you'd be able to do this. Just yeah, I'm excited by these changes. This is fun. Let's see. Air blitz shot B, standardize the landing recovery, and standardize the timing of throwing another projectile. I get it. Yeah, you can keep up more pressure with these projectiles now. Air, armor pierce kick, or EX Tatsu. Increase the distance traveled. Change the move to be chain shift cancelable during the landing recovery on hit. Increase the active frames to reduce the opening. Pretty much the exact same changes as the ground version of the EX move. Let's see. Yeah, they just modified the landing recovery. Ah, so now you can chain shift cancel it. That's really interesting. So you can do basically, you can do a combo in the air that ends with that, and then continue it on the ground. Hang on, how can I this? During the landing recovery. We just set the meter. Just always max. I'm trying to do a chain shift after a land. So yeah, you can definitely continue your combo, so that's pretty cool. Then Kamikaze, which is Infinite Worth EX, I believe. Let me double check this. Infinite, oh, just regular Infinite Worth. Adjusted the visual effect on hit and changed the counter hit state to last until the end of the move animation. So that's something that they changed across the board, I want to say, for these sorts of moves. But essentially, if I do this until the move is done, if you hit me, or if you hit Akatsuki, then it'll count as a counter hit. Adjusted the visual effect on hit, so this is interesting. Definitely looks a little bit more dynamic with the hit sparks and everything. Very cool. But that was the last change that they made to Akatsuki. Just a lot of stuff that's really interesting to kind of observe with the character. It's very fun. I grew pretty disillusioned playing as Akatsuki in the previous version of the game, just because you know, I think this is like his farthest reaching attack, or maybe this one now. He's just really difficult to succeed with compared to other characters like this guy. Look, you just press that button and look how far away he can hit you from. He can hit you from like right here. You can do this, move away. Like it's just ridiculous. Whereas if I'm Akatsuki, I gotta really get in to try to hit you. Dash and do things like Tatsu, and if you block it, you can just shield it and punish me. And of course, if I can get in, I can do some stuff. I can just like backdash and come back in. Like I can do things, but I gotta actually get in. And versus characters like Hilda, that's a real pain. But with these changes, I think I might give Akatsuki another chance in ST. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video for now. Went into the system changes, the changes to Akatsuki, and I think I'll just cut it off here. Definitely stay tuned because I do want to go through all of the characters to try to learn them for myself, if nothing else. So yeah, peace out and tune in next time.